Welcome back to Comic Book Nation, the only show that does it all for geek culture and the official podcast of Comicbook.com. I am your host, Kofi Outlaw. With me today, I have my crew of Janelle Wheeler, Matthew Aguilar, and joining us again, Mr. Evan Valentine. So what's up, gang? How's everybody doing?
Great.
Good
morning.
Good morning.
What is this? Like, I mean, do I need to do this like church? I said, how is everybody doing?
Like church?
How is everybody doing?
Get out of your seat.
Give it up. Give it up.
Bring the energy.
Oh, and yes, I was going to keep it classy, but, you know, I was in the Comic Book Savage offices. So shout out to everybody at the Savage Ventures offices. We had a whole NFC East rivalry up there. We had Commander fans. We had several Cowgirl fans. We had I can't say too much because our boss is a Giants fan. So shout out to our boss. Thank you for keeping the pod going. Yeah. So, but you know, the Eagles, it wasn't pretty. It walked away with a win. I was in the Conjuring, and I'm sorry. And
you didn't even get to watch the game?
No shade to the Conjuring. I set up. There were only a couple people in the screening, so I set up and I sat in the back. And I set up my phone and I was streaming the game and watching The Conjuring. That's how much of a Eagles fan I am. I had to do it because people were messaging me left and right. The spitting, okay, let's address that. I'm teaching a 7-year-old child right now who thinks spitting is an okay thing to do, how vile and disgusting it is. So, no, that was just like, and I don't like that. I don't like that kind of bad. I'm a very superstitious guy. I don't like that kind of bad juju to start my season. Like, that was an ugly way to start. So let's just put that out there. I am a diehard Eagles fan, but I do have lines of, like, you know, decency. I know, shocking to everybody. But yes, Dak got him. I saw what happened, but you can't get, like, once you get over a certain age, you can't say somebody baited you. You can't get, Your Honor, that guy, he fake swung on me in the bar. And so I you know, shout out to Rampage Jackson. You can't do that. You can't just be, yeah.
Boy, we are hitting all the topics this morning.
Yeah. Everybody's catching strays, yeah. Anyway, but what we're here to talk about is some geek news. The Conjuring, last Rites, and some other big things happening on TV over in Peacemaker and Alien Earth. So let's stick to our show because as much as I'd, you know, at this point, I'd blow this whole thing open. I mean, if Joe Budden and them and all the other podcasts, Theo and all, Joe Rogan, like, why can't we just freestyle life up here? But, you know, like, this, I mean, we'll say probably sensible as things as all these other top-rated podcasts, you know, and they're nonsense.
Dude,
but
Joe
all right,
Budden gets spicy.
Oh yeah, no,
I was listening in the Glass House earlier. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
I'm living in my slog house.
I like all these shows. I mean, I'm throwing shade. We're just throwing strays. But yeah. All right, let's get back to our show. So we got big news from the DCU. James Gunn said we ain't getting a Superman sequel. James Gunn kept saying we're not getting a Superman sequel. Janelle, what did James Gunn, your buddy, say this week?
James Gunn confirms we're getting a Superman sequel and it's finished.
Hey, like I just wouldn't go in and just start, you know, like grinding my foot on someone's couch. What do you think I'd do that as if that was something to do?
Oh,
yeah, I did.
Yeah, I remember grinding my feet on Eddie's couch.
Oh Lord.
One of my favorite all-time clips of anything.
Why? Because he could buy a new one.
Rick James.
I love you guys. I love you guys. It's so good. Basically, there's a tweet. He responding to a fan how much portion of Man of Tomorrow has been completed writing. He said all of it. He's in rewrites right now, and which is why they finally made the announcement. Well, not finally. They quickly made the announcement that there is an actual release date for the film, which is July 9th, 2027. He wanted to make sure that it's known that it's not a like actual sequel, but you know, whatever, we're still calling it a sequel, right? I see Kobe, I see that. I love it. Right?
Yeah. No, yeah. For those not watching that should be watching, yeah, it's me just rolling my eyes. I was about to they're just crazy with this. Because yeah, just we're doing a sequel, and you know what? This isn't a bad thing. Why are we like treating this like it's a bad word? a direct sequel that's coming 2 years after the original.
Mhm.
What people used to know and understand, and it's not a bad thing to go back to that. Like, just keep it simple. If you're gonna weave in all these other universe things that develop in there, just let the people go see the damn film. Don't try to explain this too much. Like, that's gonna be too
Totally.
confusing. Like, just tell them it's Superman, it's Man of Tomorrow. Here's the story. It's gonna incorporate this, that, and the other, and yeah, go with it.
By the way, I would just like to say that I finally hunted down my soups.
Yes.
Finally got my movie soups.
Oh, there
I've been
you
looking
go.
for a while. It's finally here. I could not find the deluxe with crypto, and I'm not like paying like $60 for one right now.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna let it simmer. But yeah, I'm hyped for this. This is awesome.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I
Evan, how do you
think
feel?
So I'm actually a fan of dropping Superman from the title. I think that Man of Tomorrow, just calling it Man of Tomorrow, kind of works in terms of you have an argument as to who is the Man of Tomorrow, because that title can go to Clark Kent or it can go to Lex Luthor. I am hoping that this movie is gonna take a page. We all know that James Gunn is a huge fan of the comics. I'm hoping that this takes a page from the amazing miniseries called Superman: The Last Days of Lex Luthor that was written by Mark Waid, drawn by Brian Hitch, that kind of has Superman and Lex teaming up to fight Brainiac. I would put money on Brainiac being the big bad of this. I think it's too early to do Darkseid. So I am looking forward, and I'm looking forward to the big dumb green armor. Come on. I can't
Awesome.
wait. I can't wait to see him in that mech suit.
You've not lived until you've seen Ed McGuinness draw that suit.
Oh, dude.
Oh,
So
yeah.
good.
I mean, that is the Superman Batman first arc of that comic with McGuinness and Jeff Loeb is classic. Go see that if you haven't read the Superman Batman team up comic from the 2010s or 2000s. I forget which. I'm too old now. But yeah, that's a great one. But I'm actually hoping it takes some of that with the Brainiac, but also incorporates what Joshua Williamson has done. Like, we're going to be having a feature up on comicbook.com. Go check the site by the time you hear this, where we're just kind of breaking down, like, it would be interesting to do Supercorp with Lex in, for the beginning of the film in prison, and him putting Superman saying, you think I sucked? Okay, you take on this challenge. Like, you take on these resources and help the world, because that's what I was trying to do. I want to help humans. You say you're better at it. Go for it. Because I said that would be an interesting way to backdoor a lot of other elements of the DCU. Like, now Superman has to sit down at a boardroom table with like Ted Kord, Bruce Wayne, Maxwell Lord, like all these other corporate figures that factor into many different corners of the DCU. That would be interesting, specifically just to have a Batman Superman introduction that way. Because if you remember the World's Finest animated feature, like, that was one of the interesting things about it. Oh, we got some things. Rich, you in there?
He's fixing it.
There you go.
But yeah, so that would be an interesting thing. And to just have a scene of, like, yes, us meeting our Batman as Bruce Wayne first, and him like doing this kind of boardroom barbs with Superman, who would be kind of outclassed in a boardroom with Bruce Wayne, would be interesting, right? And kind of, I love that part of World's Finest is how that started with them in civilian kind of guys playing chess with each other and then figuring out each other's secret identities and that whole deal. So I think there's a lot you could do with that Supercorp concept, which was like really cool and kind of fun. And I would love, and it would fit right in with James Gunn's universe. So I would love to see them do that.
Speaking of that,
like, yeah.
By the way, I would love, like, it won't, I don't think it would fit here. I mean, I'm sure you can find a way to do it, but like, I would love to see this version of Lex with that whole farm and graft story, like some kind of twisted version of that down the line. Like, not for this, but like down the line, that would be great. I think those villains, like James Gunn's hands, would be fantastic.
Yeah, what was that villain? Is he called the Chained or whatever?
Oh, the Chain too. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
Chain,
another one.
yeah.
It's a great one.
Like, no, I want to see that, like, because that was great. Again, what Williamson has been doing, if you guys don't read Superman comics, you should go back to like the 2023 launch of Superman. is he began to build out Metropolis with as much mythos as Gotham, which nobody had done really well in a while, at least. Like, where now Lex has this whole back history. He did all these freaky experiments. There's people that are pissed at him. Metropolis has all these old secrets kind of buried under the new shiny streets. And yeah, I want to get into that world since we built it up so much as Superman, right?
Yeah. And someone mentioned Parasite in here, and like, man, talk about, again, another character that has gotten so much shine in that series and has become something way, I think, more well-rounded as a character, more in depth, more compelling. Parasite has been the recipient of that in spades. Livewire too. So yeah, like so many great characters there. The pool is so open. Like, if you had gone back 10 years ago, it'd be a very different place. I feel like we'd be talking about the same 3 villains over and over and over again. And now it's very different.
For all of the Superman movies that we've gotten, there has been like as you said, Matt, there's just been this like, absence of so many of his villains. Like it's like Lex and Zod, they're kind of the tip of the iceberg. And like, it warms my black heart to see the comments where folks are saying things like, oh, I want to see Metallo, I want to see Parasite. Everybody has their favorite. In terms of like the recent Williamson run that Kofi mentioned, hey, who wouldn't want to see Timekeeper, Doomsday, and Superboy Prime show up in this thing?
Yes,
I wouldn't mind.
So good. Absolutely, fantastic. Yeah, someone mentioned Mongol. Is another one.
Oh, that'd be great.
I mean, there are some really great Superman villains and new additions to the mix, and they've all been woven together really well. So, like, yeah, I love that the pool, there's so much there that Gunn can pull from. And even if we get little, like we saw in Superman, right? You can have characters involved that aren't part of the main A plot.
Oh, for
and
sure.
he showed that he can weave them together, make them meaningful, right?
Yeah, I want that. And I also don't want to lose the episodic thing. Like, I think Gunn has done a good job of like establishing that what a villain has to be doesn't need to be like this all engrossing thing for a film.
Yeah.
Like, so I would love to see a framework. Like I said, like I loved Williamson's kind of dynamic through the jail cell of Lex trying to guide Superman or even using the ear thing, the communication system he knows he can hear in his ear to help guide him from the jail cell onto how to do everything from run a corporate business to solve some of these things like the crime fighting things that Superman's trying to solve. So I would love to see like a run of this film where they, taking down Livewire and Parasite. And, these are just kind of like little episodic things that help build this rapport between Superman and Lex, where Superman, is cautiously doesn't want to, but starts to trust Lex. Of course, by the end, it's all going to go back to classic Lex in some kind of way, some kind of master plan. But, through that, to have them interact more and build that dynamic out as we use these other, B and C villains as like little appearances, but little cool fights and sequences, where Lex is like, if he's doing this, like replicating and siphoning, why don't you just blah, 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 science something? And Superman's like, what? Like, okay. Like, and, doing that would be fun. That's a fun movie. And you can, again, it's a way to incorporate a lot. And I think Gunn's kind of cracked the code of not being like, we need a whole movie just focused on Parasite or just focused on live. We don't need that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we get it. So I would like to see that. There was something else. I would love to see Brainiac, but people were in the chat were saying villains. I would love to see Brainiac, but use the things on Brainiac's ship like that. Specifically, I forget, is it Kantar, the shrunken Kryptonian?
Kandor?
Kandor, yeah. And have that be a thing and a pivotal thing by the end of the film, because that affects if we're getting a Supergirl movie like that, can tie back into Kara, and have it be like they free Kandor, and that's a big kind of development. But also, guess who's like in Kandor in this universe? Like Zod and them are like have been hanging out in Shrunken and Kandor, and Zod gets loose, and like that be kind of a stinger. That would be kind of really cool. So things like that, there's a lot you can do. There's any number of things you can do with a Brainiac ship and all those kind of shrunken down specimens to sting us into the next thing, right? So, yeah. But this sounds like pretty exciting. And more to the point, I like to see the DCU kind of reacting and involving, because this is what happened when the MCU back in phase 1 when we were covering, like, they tried to do these films with all these established directors. They were like, this isn't working. By the time we got to phase 2 and about the middle of phase 2 after Thor: The Dark World, that's when you like, we got to pivot. We got to try something new. And that's when you got the Russos in there. You started getting Winter Soldier, Gunn in there. You started getting kind of Guardians, these up and coming people who had these kind of new visions in Marvel were like, all right, we're going to do more comedy or spy espionage. And they began to kind of roll and pivot from like these original hard plans they had. And that's good to see with the DCU is all I'm saying. Yeah. Superman was good. Yeah, we could have had like all 50 Swamp Thing movie. Cool. Make Superman 2. Or not. Man of Tomorrow, just yeah.
I think that like Kofi, you kind of mentioned the MCU, and I think that this is always something that I think about when it comes to how the quote unquote MCU has fallen with phases 4 and 5. One of the things that worked so well about the original like phase 1, the trilogy of phases that kicked off the MCU, is that you didn't go a long time without seeing these characters. You saw Robert Downey Jr. appear in something every single year. And I think that this is kind of what this is an important thing that Gunn is kind of, I feel, taken away from it, is that like Superman is probably going to show up in something every single year. I would imagine he at least shows up in Supergirl, which comes out next year, and then like Man of Tomorrow, and you keep bringing back these characters over and over and over so people can still relate to them, as opposed to like the shotgun approach that the MCU has taken with phases 4 and 5, where you don't know who's the main characters. There's so many different characters that you have to try to keep tabs on. So I'm excited to see, David Cornsweet return, Nicholas Hoult return, all this other stuff.
I'm just loving that I'm seeing so much love for lanterns in the comments.
Yeah,
makes my heart happy.
I think they're gonna do some crazy stuff with that. Like
in Darkest Day.
But like, I mean, we know we're getting Atrocitus, right? Like, and we're getting like Black Hand. I mean, Garrett Dillahunt kind of blew that whole thing.
We're getting Black Hand for sure.
But
here's the thing.
Lara,
oh my
God.
I'm just saying, like, I am very curious as to
Doug
after
Jones
seeing
right there.
Superman and like the approach that they took about weaving in other people and all that, you can do so much with the various cores of the emotional spectrum without again having to dive it. You could have an appearance from Larfleeze and just let that be it, but build enough intrigue around him, because I mean all you have to do is see him holding his lantern and mine and all that stuff, and then you'll be like, who the hell is that? Why can we get back over there? And I was like, yeah, we'll get there in time, right? We'll get over there. There's just so much there. I'm also I will stump for the Hope Corps at every chance I get. Look, dude, it has an elephant. Okay, there's an elephant who has a ring. All right, Green Lantern rules. Green Lantern rules.
You are just taking us on this weirdest.
I cannot wait. I cannot wait for this show. I'm excited.
All right, you're also excited for our next topic, so why don't you segue right on into that?
2 topics that coming up here that like the worst kept secrets. Because I feel like I've been writing about both of these for months, but like finally, like the studios were like, "Hey, these things are happening," and it's like big and confirmed. Like, oh, thank God, right? Because you're just worried that these things are going to wither on the vine. So let's talk about the first one. Finally, it is official. After Tomb Raider has been a little bit in this kind of limbo space in terms of TV and movies, and actually the games as well. We finally know that the new Tomb Raider series that was greenlit by Amazon with Phoebe Waller-Bridge at the helm is actually, number one, proceeding forward, which is huge. But then also we have, oh my God, I'm blanking on her name right now. Please tell me her name.
Turner.
Thank you.
Turner.
Yeah.
Sophie Turner. Sophie Turner is now, she had been rumored months ago as a part, and then there was a big kind of kerfuffle because
the Queen of the North.
There were then reports that it all fell apart and she wasn't going to be Laura anymore, and everyone was like, oh my God. So then now that is finally official. This is going to be shooting, it looks like next year. And I am excited for this. This is a green light. Phoebe Waller-Bridge being involved in this was always kind of the biggest linchpin for me of why I was excited for this project and the unique voice she brings. I'm a huge Tomb Raider fan, and we've seen a very like different adaptations along the way, but I feel like this one is this is not a make or break, because I don't feel like that's true of almost any franchise, but this one's really important. If we don't get this one right, I feel like this franchise, as far as TV and movies, is going to be on ice for a while. And this is really important to get right for franchise fans. So like having her still attached to it, having someone like Sophie in the role, I'm excited for this. But what do you guys think?
Oh, this is to me like Margot and Greta, right? Like you got like I think Sophie Turner's like in the prime right now. She's about to hit 30. She's been through some stuff. You know, if you've been paying attention, she's been doing these kind of really more sophisticated roles because people used to clown her about acting on Game of Thrones and all that stuff.
Oh,
but
really?
She's been doing good role. Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. I was here for covering the whole Game of Thrones. Yeah, there were some ugly things about her and Sansa, but it was also Sansa. Like it wasn't so much just her, it was just the character was a whiny little brat, you know. So but she's been taking on all these kind of more sophisticated roles in the last few years, and got like, what did she do? She did Joan. She did, was that kind of, yeah, the Joan, the British crime one where she played the criminal, you know, the famous British criminal. She's just been, yeah, sticking to, like I said, just less X-Men stuff, more kind of prestige stuff. So I think she's kind of upped her game. If you've been paying attention in the last couple of years, she's been prepping for this role. Like the fitness, the stuff is crazy. If you've ever seen, like, if you follow Complex on Instagram, you've seen a Sophie Turner workout, you know, slide before. But yeah, she's getting pumped for this, and it's I think this is kind of like her moment, and having somebody like Phoebe Waller-Bridge attached to it means we're not getting like the male centric version of this Lara Croft thing. We're going to be getting kind of like a cool flip with this, and I think it's going to be good. And because Lara Croft, at the end of the day, Lara Croft is smart. She's kind of brutal badass, but her whole thing is Lara Croft endures like a lot. Like that's, and especially in the modern Tomb Raider games, that's the whole survival horror or just survival thriller aspect of it is kind of what I want to see. I want to see not just Lara Croft getting treasure, but like in a jungle, smart enough to kind of like forge weapons, know enough, you know, make a bandage, make this, make a trap, make this, do that, like outwit a bunch of people, or be able to kind of, I want a whole episode where it's just her in the jungle, like surviving, getting from point A to point B. Silent episode, even doesn't talk to anybody, just kind of has to solve problems and do stuff. Like I would watch that. So
what I also love about that trilogy, because Crystal Dynamics, that's my favorite, like that series of games is my favorite Tomb Raider thing. Period. I love that trilogy of games, the new trilogy. And one of the things they did so well in that was make Laura flawed. And she makes decisions in those games that like feel like they feel very human and in the moment. And sometimes she has to then deal with the repercussions of those immediately, and they affect other people. And she's always dealing with, while she's very much a loner, I love that they built her a good supporting cast in those games to make her feel like her decisions matter and they affect other people. And she now has to deal with that. And she doesn't always make the right one. So that stuff is, they did so much with her character in those games. And I know, I don't even hope, I know someone like Phoebe Waller-Bridge can bring that to a show, and Sophie Turner can absolutely deliver. And as we saw in the comments, I don't hold X-Men against her. I don't hold X-Men. Oscar Isaac was in an X-Men movie. Okay. I don't hold X-Men against anybody. That's different. That's a totally different thing. That has nothing to do with her acting ability. I feel like, the dude who crushed Moon Knight was Apocalypse, if you remember. So it's fine.
Oh,
we're good. It's good. But I'm saying Oscar Isaac was in an X-Men movie.
I put in for you guys in the chat, I put in the private chat a link to like what Sophie Turner is running around looking like. But I sent it to Rich. I don't know if we can get it posted in time. But Janelle, what do you think about this and Tomb Raider in general?
Honestly, at first I wasn't really with this casting. I was kind of like a Game of Thrones, like, wait, that's Sansa. You know, I can't get past it. Also, like with all of the Jonas Brothers drama, that's like the only thing I know her for, which is a shame. Like that's terrible, and that's on me. I need to like obviously.
Yeah, that's horrible.
Yeah, like that's awful. So at first I was kind of, I don't know, I just didn't see her as like an action star. I saw her more as like a dramatic actress. And so, you know, it just wasn't, I don't know. I feel like I'm always going to just see Angelina Jolie as Tomb Raider, but like, you know, she's blonde hair or red hair and not brown hair. And I'm getting caught up in all of those things. And I wonder if other fans, there you go, Rich, I love it. I don't know. I guess I got kind of, I don't know. I was taken aback, but now after hearing you guys kind of cook, I'm like, all right. I'm intrigued. Like, I want to know what's going on here. I love Tomb Raider is very near and dear to my heart. It was my first like adult cosplay. So,
gotcha.
Yeah,
You mean cosplay as an adult?
Correct.
Yes. Okay.
Correct.
Yes.
I have never looked that ripped in my entire life.
You know,
those
you've never
abs,
had
those abs are crazy. Like, yeah, the abs.
Not even college, not high school,
not even with Ozempic, not even with like a full-time trainer. Like,
time in my life
never
where I look that ripped. I just
revenge body.
Well, yeah, I was about to say that is straight up revenge. You got to have the motivation.
And I'm living for
hanging
that.
off a bar like Michael Keaton and Batman, or doing things like Robert De Niro and Cape Fear. You know, just
oh my gosh,
doing sit-ups. But yeah. Crazy.
There's also, I wanted to add something to what Matt said about like this has to be successful, because there's been another piece of like Tomb Raider news that dropped this week, which is that the Netflix animated series Tomb Raider: The Legend of Lara Croft is ending after its second season. So no pressure, but yeah, this does seem like something that has to be like good to keep the franchise going until they announce some, you know, new game, because I don't think there's been a new game announcement since
there is one in development. So Crystal did say they are working on one, but if anyone's been paying attention to gaming news recently, Crystal has been dealing with some stuff as well. You know, their Perfect Dark project got canned by Microsoft. They were evidently trying to sell it off.
That franchise is cursed. Just stop it.
It's just like there's a lot going on there, right? And so we haven't seen the new game, and it's been a while. And so, yeah, like this is very key here, because if this becomes, you know, even let's say half or a portion of what Fallout drew, and that kind of great attention, then I think the franchise can kind of use that as a great stepping stone and push forward and start really rolling with some momentum. But if this doesn't, then yeah, man, I mean, it's going to be a while. I feel like it's going to be, you know, at least 5-6 years probably before we get another crack at it. And so, yeah, but moving on to another video game that is finally jumping to the big screen. And this is the most insane cast of all time. This is crazy. Street Fighter, the new Street Fighter movie finally got official details. Again, this has been the worst kept secret because we've been talking about castings.
That's the song I was thinking about in my head. Oh my god, that's crazy.
You two are on the same wavelength. The Street Fighter movie is now in production, and it is hitting theaters on October 16th, 2026.
Oh, Matt, sorry to interrupt you because we've been ignoring the chat. Just sorry, we should have said at the beginning of our Tomb Raider conversation, it is a streaming series coming to MGM Prime Video. It is MGM Prime Video. They are doing a Tomb Raider TV series, so it's going to be on Prime Video with Reacher in them.
Which, by the way, I think benefits the franchise more than a movie right now. I think this is.
Oh, you know, that's what I was saying. Yeah. Like, and I don't think I made that clear. Good podcasting. When I was saying,
we're killing.
Like an entire silent episode of just like Lara surviving the jungle is something you could do, and you could do with a long form TV show, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry. So back to Street Fighter, which had the most awesome debut promo maybe ever.
Yeah, we've been getting teases and stuff, but we finally got kind of the big curtain drop. And they released the casting announcements were amazing. They've gone full like nostalgia. We got the fighter select screen. We got each person listed next to their fighter portrait, and it looks like straight out of the game. Also, the cast is pretty much on par with all of the previous reports. There weren't any kind of giant surprises, so those have all stayed true. And if you haven't been paying attention, I'm gonna go through some of the names on this cast. This is crazy. So Andrew Koji will be playing Ryu. Kalina Liang, I hope I said that correctly, will be playing Chun-Li. Noah Centineo, who is just like on a franchise kick right now, he's going to be in Masters of the Universe as well as He-Man, is playing Ken. Jason Momoa is playing Blanca. 50 Cent is playing Balrog, which is amazing. Cody Rhodes is playing Guile. David Dasmalchian is playing M. Bison. Andrew Schultz is playing Dan. Orville Peck is playing Vega. Roman Reigns is playing Akuma. And I think that's the full announced cast. But then there's also Eric Andre. Who did they announce that Eric Andre is playing? Because before he was listed as a commentator, he was going to be like the main like ring announcer type guy. But he actually got a casting here, and I missed it.
It's like Don Savage, which is a character I don't know. There's
Okay.
like a couple characters that I'm like, who are they?
Yeah, there's a bunch of Street Fighter characters have like evolved now until we don't know.
And then yes, and there's more too. That was just that was the kind of one of the more recent updates here. But definitely check out our full article on Comic Book. The fact that it's number one, it's actually hitting. Alvier, I hope I'm saying that correctly. Richter's is Zangief. Hiroki Goto is E Honda. Sorry, Jamie. Jamie is a huge New Japan Pro Wrestling fan, and I'm sure I messed up his name. So apologies to Jamie. Apologies to Jamie. So yeah, this cast is Don Savage is who Eric Andre is playing. Also, Mel Jarnson is playing Cammy, which is actually one of the big reveals because all of the previous reports didn't include Cammy, and we weren't sure if she was going to make the list. Pretty insane cast. The fact that it's actually happening, and the original Street Fighter for as a product of its time. The original Street Fighter is such a product of its time that it's kind of developed this cult classic fan base that people like. We just love it because of for how hokey some things are. Also, Raul Julia as M. Bison is a classic, right? So like, I'm very interested to see how this fares, but I think they're taking the right approach. Like, lean into the fun.
Yeah. Yeah, you cut out the end there, but I think lean into the fun. Don't like. It's hard to take this so super seriously as you see Andrew Schultz as Dan, right? Like Dan is not a serious character, and like they obviously know that, but they have serious actors in like some of the serious roles like Ryu, but I can't see Noah Centineo being too serious as Ken, right? So it's a good mix.
And I think that obviously like people are gonna look to that original live action movie, and you shouldn't, because like as good as like Raul Julia's acting is as M. Bison in that, the rest of the movie is not great. But like there are examples of like I look mostly to like the animated movies, because those are the Street Fighter, the animated movie is like legitimately good.
Yeah, those are good.
In terms of
it's what got me into anime. That was the first thing that ever got me into anime.
Dude, that opening fight between Ryu and Sagat is like so good in the field, and there's
I have a framed picture of him throwing the fireball. It was like one of the first things I ever did with camera.
So good. So like you can make this good. It was very funny because I went to earlier this summer I went to Anime Expo in LA, and I was talking with a buddy of mine, shout out Jamel Johnson. He's a stand-up comedian, and he's a huge Street Fighter fan, and he hadn't heard of this movie. And I had to say before I started, I'm like, I am not lying to you about this cast, and I'm gonna start rattling off like, because for me, like when it comes to Street Fighter, like one of my favorite characters is Blanca. I love Blanca. I also love Akuma, and so like it's wild to be like, oh yeah, Blanca's gonna be
the road.
what's that?
Throw the ones.
Oh yeah, Roman Roman Reigns. It's like, I don't know if a human can properly portray Akuma because he's so like as the kids say, the aura farming on that character is insane. But like, I'm excited to see what he does with it and everything.
That's the tribal chief. He has aura.
The tribal chief.
He's got aura.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I mean, like I said, I can't take this too seriously. Like, it's gonna be. I think they know what they're going to be, and it's going to be a winking kind of fun thing. So I'm not going to get too crazy about it. But I mean, this wasn't just a good rollout, though. Like that was a great rollout. Yeah. I mean, it's just I'm already having fun with this movie. So
Andrew Schultz as Dan could low key be like one of the that could end up being like one of those castings, like when we actually see the movie and be like, yeah, that was the right call. Like that could be great. Like there's some great ones in here, but like that one has like Dan has such the like he's such a he has such the punchable face vibe, you know, and like
well, that's what I hope it is. I hope he's like a quick cameo that like, you know, like when Pete Davidson shows up and stuff.
Yeah,
like his head blown off or something like that, you know, like one of those funny things, like where he just goes in and like Dan just steps up like he's gonna be the man, and then he just gets slaughtered by somebody, and he's just like, oh, you know, you're like, oh, man, they killed Dan.
I had to mention Judon Foster in the comments. Oh, I would love if they gave Roman Reigns the death attack, Akuma's attack, where he grabs somebody, the screen goes black.
And you just see everything like
shush. Oh, dude, yeah, I would love it. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, we got to get all that. So, yeah, I mean, I'm liking this next generation of kind of like fighting game movies. Mortal Kombat 2 looks like it understands what to be, and so does this. And 50 Cent as Balrog is just going to be funny. Everything, boy, you want me to punch you in your face like every 2 seconds? Like it's going to be. I think it's going to be comedically funny. So I'm looking forward to this. I forgot Kylie Minogue was Cammy in the original. I was looking at the cast of the original. It is wild.
Ming-Na wins
Chun-Li. Yeah, Ming-Na won. Yeah, Ming-Na won is Chun-Li. I remember that one. But there's some.
It's insane the names that are in there.
They put a Samoan as E Honda, which is crazy. That is so. The 90s were so crazy.
Wasn't the guy who played Sagat? He was in like Last of the Mohicans, and I think he was nominated for an Oscar. So it's just wild.
It's wild, man.
Yeah, it's crazy. So anyway, yeah. So this already looks better than it's Wes Studi. Who did he recently pass away? No, he's still alive. Oh,
okay, this is a roller coaster ride right now.
Yeah, no, Wes Studi is still alive. Then he might have just been cast in something.
I got so sad for a second. Oh, no, he's good.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, but Wes Studi's the man. Last of the Mohicans. Mogwai in his heart. Mogwai is Euron. You know, pretend in his heart. Well done. That's my movie right there. Anyway, let's keep it on our show. All right. So we talked a lot more about Street Fighter than I thought we would. This was today's grenade. We are at 40 minutes somehow already. So I'm just going to be quick. About 28 years later, the Bone Temple dropped a trailer. And my instant reaction was, I'm actually weirdly, even though I think you can't top that trailer for the first 28 years later. That with the boots marching up and down again thing. But this one, I'm really interested. Nia DaCosta, I think this is kind of the movie, hopefully, where we get to see Nia DaCosta's been kind of underserved by a lot of the projects she's been attached to. The Candyman one got lost in the pandemic mess. And then the Marvels was its own situation. But you can see visually how talented of a director Nia DaCosta is just from this trailer. I'm looking forward to this. And I'm already kind of back in it. No matter what I may have thought of 28 years, if I had reservations, this movie's already doing enough interesting things. And I can already see a clear story here about like, what does the word humanity mean? Like, what is it like, is Samson more of a human, quote unquote, because he cares about his wife and his kid and all that. And whereas like the Jimmies are crazy cult, like of sociopaths and like, that whole thing and whatever the hell's going on with Ralph Fiennes' character, it's going to be awesome because it's Ralph Fiennes. So I'm already back in for this. The cast, I mean, Jack O'Connell's been just killing it in like the last year in both Sinners and 28 Years. And like I said, you're going to get more of Ralph Fiennes, more of the things that I want to see in this world. Cillian Murphy is going to show up again. So yeah. And like I said, Nia DaCosta, I think this is a film that will show off really what she can do as a director. So I'm back in. How are you guys doing?
I think that this is what's going to make or break this movie for me is like the approach toward, as you said, the Jimmies. I think that like their arrival in 28 Years Later is such a tonal shift from the rest of the movie, and portraying them in a way where they're able to be like serious, I guess is the best way to say it, is going to be like very interesting. But Kofi, you kind of mentioned Nia DaCosta's, resume, and I was really a fan of that, her Candyman. I thought that was really fantastic. But it did get lost in the shuffle of the pandemic, so I'm anxious to see what she does here with Bone Temple. But I'm kind of hesitant in general about this one because I was a little more down on 28 Years Later than a lot of people, just because I love 28 Days Later so much, and even 28 Weeks Later I really dug. So I'm going to go see it, but I'm going to also be kind of hesitant about it and anxious to see if Nia is able to pull this one off.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's fair enough. People were split about 28 Years. The more I think about that movie, the more I kind of enjoy it. I think that Danny Boyle did a lot of crazy things in there, and kind of over time, I think we're going to look back, especially after this movie, and kind of think about that first movie and be like, oh, this was kind of nuts with the night vision and stuff and what that was all about. Anyway. All right. Like I said, I don't want to spend too much time on this. We're going to take a break. When we come back, I'm going to talk about The Conjuring, Last Rites. Evan, did you see that?
No, I have not seen that, but I am a fan of The Conjuring, so I'll throw in
all
some commentary.
So we'll get through that real quick, and then we're going to talk about TV. Stay tuned. The Conjuring Last Rites. The Conjuring Last Rites. It'll be the fourth and final film in the Conjuring franchise that was started way back when by James Wan and has become this kind of expansive universe of films. Basically, this film is it's Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga saying, yeah, we've done a lot of these. We're going to stop doing it. They've been doing it since 2013. So that's a hell of a run. But they're going to get off the Ed and Lorraine Warren train. And that's what this movie is. And for that reason, it is both a good thing for fans of the franchise, but ultimately not so great as just an isolated horror movie. It's a film who's directed by kind of the Conjuring franchise company man, Michael Chavez, who's done The Curse of La Llorona, The Conjuring, Devil Made Me Do It, and The Nun 2, none of which are like standout entries of the franchise, right? Like nobody's stumping for these being the best. But there's just, this is basically, and I know this is going to be like a weird description to say, but this is like the Ocean's 12 of Conjuring movies, in which it's just everybody who's been working together. They're like super comfortable with each other. there's a whole universe here they're just kind of trapezing around in. There's some new additions in Mia Tomlinson playing the kind of adult version of Judy Warren. Ben Hardy, Angel from X-Men, back to X-Men Apocalypse. Angel from that movie is in this as Judy's kind of boyfriend, and trying to make his way into the Warren family with, of course, Ed being like, but this is just like hanging out with the Warrens for 2 hours and 15 minutes. And at the end, there happens to be a case, this famous case. And so it's a very weird movie because most of the movie is not them. It's them retired. So they're in their house trying to just chill, live life, figure out retirement life. Judy's growing up. This guy's really liking her. It's looking like life is going to go into that direction of Ed having to hand this girl off to this other guy. And it's that whole thing. So we're seeing like father of the bride type stuff for most of this movie. But over in Pennsylvania, there's this famous haunting of this house where all this crazy demonic stuff is happening. Oh, but it's a demon that's tied to the Warrens from way back in this really, Janelle, don't go see this movie, like upsetting flashback about Judy's birth and demons and how it was. It was like this whole full circle story, but it's a long story. And like the actual just haunted house stuff is like the last 25 minutes. And so like where the Warrens actually step into a haunted house. So basically it's just kind of like an epilogue story about the Warrens, these characters living life and what happens in life and all this stuff. So yeah, there's creepy moments, but in creepy sequences, it's a Conjuring movie, but overall it was a little boring. I mean, the franchise is obviously out of gas, and this is just a send off for longtime fans. There's even an ending where they literally bring back cameos from the entire franchise. Every family from every film like shows up, or at least parts of the families, the mom, the major players, and from 1, 2, and 3 come back and do like a whole thing. And so and then the end credit sequence is like a whole tribute to the Warrens, like real footage and stuff like that. So this is just a send off. And if you're a longtime fan of the franchise, yeah, you might enjoy seeing them just do their thing, one last time and do this whole thing, because it is a full journey you've taken with the Warrens, and not just through this movie. They tie in all kinds of other stuff. If you don't think other parts of this franchise come into play in this movie, you are completely wrong. So yeah, they tie in other films, other things, and so it's a big. And I put it in this episode title. This is like the Conjuring Endgame, right? So that's what this is. But as in a year of horror movies, I'm not going to sit here and stomp and cap for you guys and pretend that this is like the best. Like, we just got Weapons. This isn't Weapons.
Oh, Kofi, I was interested, Kofi, in so how would you rank, now that the franchise is done, the series is over, how would you rank the Conjuring movies for yourself?
I think the Conjuring is pretty easy to rank as a series of just increasingly diminishing returns. So it's just straight up 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. First one made haunted house horror, it brought it back. I remember being at Comic-Con when the scene is when the witch is up on the top of the armoire, that whole scene, we all screamed and jumped and were like, whoa. Yeah, that first Conjuring movie was something special. And so it's just been it's just been down the hill, because it always was this thing where, are you talking about just the Conjuring movies?
Yeah, not all the spin-offs, not like all the. I'm not going to have you spend the next hour talking about Annabelle 1 through 3.
Oh no, yeah, because you start throwing. I mean, of this whole franchise, I think still it's somewhere between The Conjuring and Annabelle 2, which was, of course, David F. Foster, who's second to none with this stuff. But yeah, if this is for the longtime fans, go check it out if you want to see it. But it's just a basic B movie, even C movie, horror movie. So, and in a year where we got Weapons and Sinners and even Final Destination Bloodlines, this doesn't compare to those. All right, I said that longer than I wanted to. Let's get back to stuff we can all talk about. How did you guys feel about Alien Earth? I've been waiting to talk about this episode with you guys. If I have to focus on one thing, it would be this episode. I've been shut in my trap for many weeks after I binged this series twice. I said this was one of my favorite episodes of TV this year. I still stand behind that, but how did you guys feel? Janelle, I want to start with you because I know Alien is not your thing in this episode, especially. I am kind of curious. And actually, Matt, right behind you, I'm curious what you both had to say.
I mean, dude, this episode had no like innocent like thing for me to cling to. There were no more AI children characters for me to hide behind. This was straight up like horror space thing. Wow, what an incredible episode. This felt like a film. Like it's like a mini movie. I couldn't believe that this is a TV show. It also has completely reframed the way that I'm looking at our characters, and especially the prodigy guy. I mean, I already kind of didn't like him, but now I like absolutely despise him, and I don't wish him any kind of well at all. I love how political, like I love the way that they're just making it. They're just so blunt about how government didn't work. So then these corporations took over, and then these corporations made everything better, quote unquote, but they're also like horrific. Like they're bringing diseases and parasites to the planet. And I just don't know how this is going to be able to be contained. Like, all I can think about is just humanity as a whole. Like, how are they going to contain any of this at all? Like, is Earth gone? Like, that's all I can think about is it's over. Like, it's over for us. We're done. Like, there's no way to fix this. Like, call it a day, close the book. Like, Earth and humans are over. There's so much going on, but yet they explain everything so well. And I don't feel lost or confused not having a lot of the alien lore. Like I've only watched the original movie, and yet I'm completely following every single detail. And I'm sure there's Easter eggs for super fans and people who have been, into Alien throughout its entire journey. But I feel like I'm part of the in crowd. Like I feel like I'm completely understanding everything that's going on politically, even like scientifically with the AI and these life forms and just everything. And I just think that is so hard to do, and the fact that they have achieved that, I'm just so impressed. This is just like my overall feelings in general. Yes, it's horrific. Yes, it's violent. Yes, it's disgusting. No, it is not something that I enjoy watching, but I can't not watch it because it's good. Like it's so good. So those are my thoughts.
Yeah, I want to address real quick because I've seen this online. There seems to be a lot of debate about like the eye and what the eye does in this episode. Some people think like the eye is friendly. Guys, I don't think you should rely on the eye being friendly. Let me just
friendly.
Help you out. Yeah,
it kills you.
Well,
yeah,
I mean, it has like one moment where it does something that can be, that is like proves to be helpful to someone at one point in time. But it's not about that. It's just a matter of what it's doing. That just happens to be like a side effect of whatever it's doing, right? So yeah, like it was like all of a sudden it was like, oh, the eyeball's a hero. it's all eyeball rules, by the way. That's amazing. So yes, Kofi, did you want me to go or no?
Yeah, go.
So I think Janelle kind of nailed it there when she said like this felt like a movie, in that this feels, I mean, you could technically just watch this episode if you were going to introduce someone to like, hey, here's something really cool about Alien. They could start here and you could give them kind of the sense of like what, all the things that the show can be, and like, look, this is the level we're playing with. Now find out why some of that stuff matters and why there's even more down the line, right? And then start at the beginning of the show and then work your way here, because we saw part of this in the premiere. Hold on one second, you
guys. The chat, I can't.
So sorry,
one might say it's a hungry eye.
Well done.
Hungry eye. Oh my god, sorry.
But no, like it's it was so well done. There's also some gnarly moments, but I gotta say one of the worst ones for me was the water bottle. And the fact that like I hate that stuff, right? I hate when like you see like it's there, it's there, and they start playing with like, oh, who's gonna drink it, right? And it's just this whole thing. I was like, oh god, that stuff that's the
Every
stuff
time
that
you get a
actually
mysterious lump in your water now, you're gonna be freaking out.
look.
That happen often?
I'm gonna vomit. But yes, no,
No.
that go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, I tweeted out something about this episode being better than like a couple of the Alien movies, and bro, I've never understood. I don't go into Alien subreddits because that just seems like a weird destination to be in. I don't know what you're in an Alien subreddit talking to people about, but it's probably going to be pretty weird. And I stand by that. You guys are kind of weird on this Alien subreddit, man. Like, people hate this show. Like, hardcore Alien subredditors are like so mad about this show. They're mad about the glass and the containers. Wow. Yes, they're glad because it's breakable glass. Guys, it's a spaceship. It's a lab. I don't know if you've ever been a scientist, but they tend to use glass.
I'm gonna guess they
even
haven't.
for a specimen. Yeah, and they couldn't break out of the glass. There was strong enough glass that the specimens couldn't just bust through it. Like, they didn't lock something in place. The eye was smart. The eye was like, oh. And that was crazy. That, slingshotting itself and using it to like knock things, like that was nuts. That little thing is crazy. But if you can't just sit back or people complaining about the xenomorph, the person in the costume, like obviously that's an ode to the original Alien. Like these are Easter eggs. Some of you need to go back for reading comprehension at school. Yeah, it's not a cheesy
shot.
They're giving ode to Ridley Scott. There's so many things in this episode and on the Magnaut in general that are odes to the original Alien. This whole episode's an ode to the original Alien with a remix. So yeah, but I stand by what I said. I thought this was a great episode of TV. It's a backstory, it's a flashback you need, but it also, like Janelle said, it reframes everything. And now you're like, oh, who are the heroes? Who are the villains? Like, you learn a lot more, and there are little Easter eggs that you don't really begin to know. Like, do we know what happened to all those ticks that were in that body of that kid who got his head blown off? Like, do we know where those are? Do, like, all of these things, there are little things that Noah Hawley's so good at. People say this show is kind of nebulous, but it's actually like a 3-card Monte trick. There are some things that might seem like mundane scenes, the musical sequences, the conversations, but there are all these little details. And if you watch this thing on subtitles, you get even more details in the dialogue that you're like, wait, what? Oh, like, they're just dropping little tidbits of seeds and Easter eggs about this, that, or the other that's going to come around later. So yeah, like the doctor, there's a whole subplot, because I've watched this episode now like 4 times, and there's a whole subplot in this about the doctor being a drunk, having recovered, everybody kind of like being like, do you know what you're doing? And then at the end, like, he takes that drink and he's like, I'm gonna save him, and then disaster. And that's like a whole plot about kind of like what a nut he was and what this journey's done to all of them for the corporate reasons. Like Janelle said, it's there. The subtext is very political. It's about, who are these people? What have they gone through? What have they done? And at the end of their journey, the real horror of this for me is, as soon as they're about to be back and get like their payment, they all horrifically die by the hands of these things these horrible things they went out in the universe they collected for a paycheck. And so ultimately their corporate service gets them all horrifically murdered and endangers the entire earth. So yay. But luckily, it's just fiction, guys. No worries. No worries. Just fiction. Yeah. So, anyway.
Evan,
sorry. Let's let you.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no worries. So I would, Kofi, you kind of mentioned earlier about like, comparing this to other, as like an Alien movie. And I made a joke online about like my favorite Alien movies are Alien, Aliens, and Alien Earth Episode 5. I think that
my gosh. Yes.
So it's like, this works. And for me, like, I liked Romulus. I think I was a little lower on it than a lot of people, but I still thought Romulus was good. But I like this episode better than Romulus. I think that the character work, and this could be like a self-contained thing. I think that all of these, if you were to tell me that like this new Alien series was going to introduce a lot of new aliens that weren't xenomorphs, I would be like, oh, how is this going to work? But like each of the aliens that they introduce here, I feel could work with their own movies. Like, I don't know what you call an eyeball movie, but like I think that could work really well. The ticks are terrifying. Those things work. There's like in and of themselves they work really well. I'm still waiting to see if we're gonna have like a predator Easter egg, like a predator is gonna show up in this in some form or fashion, so we can have like we're really in a golden age of alien and predator things, and I'm just waiting for both of them to slam together. But no, this series has been firing on all engines. I'm amazed. I shouldn't have been amazed because Noah Hawley is so good at what he does, but yeah, this has been such a good series, one of the best of the year.
Yeah, that's the thing. We've done a list of this, and I think it bears discussion. But I like that even if Howley, and this has been a big discussion, alien continuity has always been one of the messiest things in the planet. So even if Howley's thing is outside any of the main continuity or the Ridley Scott continuity or whatever continuity, what he's done here, there are interesting things to introduce into future alien movies. Like maybe there's an alien movie, yeah, the xenomorphs are loose, but there's on a planet where there are things like the eyeball or some other creatures we invent that the xenomorphs have to contend with too, or like whatever. Maybe some of the people trapped on these things are enhanced humans like cyborgs. And what do you do with that? And like, what do you do when a cyborg is trying to survive thing and can open doors and sync with mother on their heads or whatever? Like these are elements. What about other corporate rival interests? We've always seen Leyland Yutani out in space trying to mess around and do stuff. What about if there's more corporate espionage? Like a Prodigy person shows up in a movie and is like, does something to try to screw over Weyland Yutani and release xenomorphs. Like now this world's bigger, and you could pick and choose elements that don't have to be from here, but just like things that people are now established and thinking about within the Alien franchise that future movies can play with. So I think Halley always is a good battery for these things, even if you don't want to be as weird as him, like, and just that, like the ideas he puts out and the things he gets the fan base to accept, like, are things you can then go forth. Like Legion got too weird with some of the psychic stuff by the end of the sequences and stuff, but like you can now do a sequence in an X-Men movie that's a surrealist, like inside somebody's head, like psychic rescue, whatever, or it is, or psychic battle. Like people have seen that before, and we can kind of now process that and do that different in the movies. So like, I think, like I said, he's just a good franchise battery. And what you can take from this, just this example of this episode, is what we can do in future Alien movies. Peacemaker. I'll be real quick. I was kind of quiet last week, but Peacemaker's episode 2 kind of made me kind of sour. I was like, this is getting kind of slowed down from episode 1. But episode 3, I think, was the kind of where I get the hook for this season, right? That now Christopher Smith is trying to live these two lives and hop back and forth and do that, and how there's already big stakes. No matter how this plays out, there's going to be some emotional trauma from this, whether it's in this other universe and his brother and figuring out, that their version is gone, or him having to deal with like a lot of stuff in his own life. And as Evan was kind of alluding to before we started, like the secret of what this other universe as happy and as wonderful, because I think there is a sick joke in this that any world that makes Peacemaker this much of a icon, inherently has something wrong with it, right? So
little sus.
And of course, we got a big cameo this week with Joel Kinnaman returning, and some big revelations like about him and Harcourt, and where Harcourt's at with that and why she's in this kind of thing. And that's a hard thing to do. Stretching out the will they won't they this long can get really tedious for a show, but this James Gunn has just kind of like upped the stakes of that again. and you can understand some self-loathing coming from Harcourt about this decision, right? And so, yeah, I really enjoyed episode 3, and it looks like, and it was a great kind of stinger for where episode 4 is going to be taking us.
Yeah, this is such a, I'm enjoying this season so much more than season 1. Like this, and this episode is like a testament to that. I just, man, cause I care about Chris. I there's a relatability to his, sometimes extreme decisions, but like at the center of it, like you get it, and you're seeing that juxtaposed so well when he moves from one universe to the other, and one has his family essentially all there, and it's such a great life for him. He's not getting berated every time he saves people in whatever style that is, like all that stuff. And then he moves to the other world, and it's like there is a question of like, well, what's left there for him? But he's attached to these people, and there's a part of him that wants to make that work. And so you kind of see him almost flirting with the idea of like, okay, what do I take from this world to make this one better and work for me and all that. That's really, we talked about the whole Superman and all that, bringing the multiverse in, and how like, oh, that may be bad. This show is literally all multiverse, and it proves that if you build around it right, it doesn't freaking matter. It can be great. So I just think there's so much more going on this season compared to last time, and I always had a hard time connecting. As much as I love John Cena, I have a hard time connecting with Peacemaker in that season. And like, oh my God, why should I care about this? And now I don't have that. Now that's at the center of the show, and everything else is just kind of fun, layered depth on top of it. I'm really enjoying this season.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, Matt. This season has been such a joy. This is exactly what I needed from my like superhero viewing side of things. My husband actually did not watch season 1, and it is such a bummer, dude, because I would absolutely love to be watching this with him week to week. I think this is doing a great job of making me excited about something throughout the week. I haven't felt that way in quite some time because a lot of these shows have been coming out as batch or just binge watching the whole season. And this is kind of giving me that excitement throughout the week that I really need. And I'm really happy about it. So obviously I know we can touch on the story, and the action's great. And obviously it's so fun, but overall it just feels good to have something that I'm like, hey, let's order a pizza. Like, let's watch Peacemaker. I can't wait. This is awesome. And I love that. I love having that. Also, it's messed up that Yondu's killing Eagly.
That's so screwed up, man.
It's very funny about that, because this is actually Michael Rooker's second role in DC James Gunn's DCU, because he briefly played, I can't remember his character name, but in the Suicide Squad, he was one of the first people to get murked.
And I loved him as that character. Like, he would have been so great if they kept him around in that role.
Savant was his name or something. Yeah, that was this season is kind of a testament, I feel, to like the idea of like why sequels can sometimes outdo their original ones, because you've come to know these characters and they're able to kind of like really and with Gunn especially, he's able to kind of give us a lot from these characters because you already know them, you don't need introductions. All of the characterization is like firing on all cylinders. Everybody has this amazing dialogue, like everything about like Vigilante and like his love of spiders, and it's so funny. But I'm very interested to see, because I think like the comments have kind of figured it out in terms of like what this alternate universe is, which actually does have origins in the original DC comics. There's a very specific reason probably why Amanda Waller isn't there. I've seen people online saying, is this going to be Gunn's like returning to the Snyderverse? And it's like, no, if he were to do that, if he were to say the Snyderverse became this, That was like that was some major commentary on that. But also shout outs because apparently I guess David Ayer's Suicide Squad also took place from Rick Flag Jr.'s original commentary in the thing about like it probably happened a little differently because I don't expect Jared Leto's Joker to return. But it should very interesting to see like, yeah, he's still kind of picking and choosing in terms of continuity from the original Suicide Squad and this in general. But also, as Matt mentioned, like shout out to John Cena because dang, he is really like, I know James Gunn said originally that he is amazed at how Cena has been able to up his acting game, but I do feel like he has gotten like, I thought he was really good in like the Suicide Squad and in season 1 of Peacemaker, but man, he's really able to convey a lot of emotions here about like how he missed his brother, how he feels inadequate in the original world. But also there are just his comedic timing is so good with stuff like with stuff like the kid who's just like crying like Peacemaker, I love you. It's like, that's a little much. I thought that really had me cracking up in there. But yeah, I'm fully on board with this. I think with like also Gunn needs to take a break at some point. I feel like he's gonna burn himself out. He's working on so many projects. Like my word.
That's my thing is, and I hope Peter Safran, who's more quiet, is there to kind of like help balance him out. But like I was listening to like the long needle drop at the end of this episode, and I was like, I'm hearing too many songs now per episode from James Gunn. Like James Gunn's going a little crazy on the soundtrack budget. Like we get it. Like you love punk music, new age punk. Like we get it. But like it's just, again, not everybody's a fan of this music. So like I'm good for like a scene, but like I don't need 15 punk tracks in one episode of Peacemaker. Like I like punk music, but I just don't need that. And it's just like, it's getting to the point, and I'm not the only one saying this, but there is a point where you need to restrain, where somebody gets to kind of free. Like James Gunn's kind of feeling himself maybe a bit too much. He's been, the Suicide Squad people were like, okay, he's got this DC thing. Peacemaker, people were loving. Superman's now a hit. Peacemaker season 2, you can feel that he's really in a zone right now, but sometimes this can lead to a bad zone when one hot shooter thinks he's got it the whole game, and then all of a sudden, you start going cold. You got to remember you have a whole team behind you. So yeah, I want James Gunn to do this stuff, but I also want to see other people carrying this DCU or just helping to restrain some of his James Gunnness sometimes. Like, yo, bro, let's just make it 3 needle drops this episode, not 5. Like, we're good. Just put some orchestrated music somewhere. Like,
some orchestrated music.
Yeah, just get like some regular.
Let's get some
TV music in there.
Some royalty-free tracks from.
Yeah. just go back to the library of whatchamacallit, what's that free use music? I can't even think right now. Public domain. Go get it. Like, be like It's Always Sunny. Go get the public domain tracks. Go like
Winnie the Pooh's in there.
And do that. But that's a nitpick. On the whole, like I said, I like this episode of Peacemaker. All right, let's quick.
Oh yeah.
Anybody else got anything? Wednesday?
Yeah.
How'd you like? I haven't gotten to the end, so don't spoil. But how did you please?
I'm just gonna talk about the first 2 episodes of part 2 because I also saw in the comments someone's watching that right now. So yeah, we're not gonna spoil a bunch of stuff for the end thing. I will just say the first 2 episodes though, I've seen them all. And I will say that I really enjoyed part 1 of season 2. Part 2 of season 2 to me kind of blows it away. Like just even in episode 5, there's enough stuff in episode 5 that thing could have been a season premiere or a finale. There was so much stuff that happens in episode 5. And then we get like a fun like Freaky Friday thing happening. And I would just say, speaking of needle drops, I did not realize that 2 of my favorite things, which is Wednesday and Blackpink, would collide, but they did, and it's fantastic. that's a classic Blackpink track. Actually makes its way into this show, and the reason why and all of that stuff around it, brilliant. I love this show, and really episode 5 and even more so later, but episode 5 especially, like really starts to bring all of the various threads together from earlier in the season. and characters start to evolve, and you start to understand like where everyone is and the role they're playing in this story, and then the whole kind of central premise shifts. They just do a lot in the second half. I really enjoyed this. I think this was and so many of the core characters really get like movement on their own as individuals, and then that helps them play off each other even more as the season goes on. I really dig this. I dug the season a lot, but especially these 4 episodes.
Okay, boom. I've actually had to edit the pieces we've been. I sound like RFK, but yeah, I've had to edit the pieces we were writing for this, and I could say there, it got me like there are some things that happen this season that I am really interested in, and I'm hooked, even though I know the spoilers, and so yeah, I'm in. And
season 3 coming, baby.
More Addams Family, Jenna Ortega. So like, what's not to love? All right, moving right along. Let's talk about some deep geek stuff. Batman. We got a new vision of the Batman. It's Batman. Yeah. So Batman has. I put trailer in here for some
on
reason,
a bender. That was the Batman on a bender.
But Hawkeye, epic writer Matt Fraction is taking over Batman and with all-star freaking powerhouse artist Jorge Jimenez. What's to say? I mean, how do you not like a book like this? It's Fraction who can write these kind of almost like espionage. Like he always has this kind of like espionage kind of edge to like what he's writing. There's like moving parts. He gets like a lot of moving parts in a world and like what's going on here, there, and over, here. So it's not like a reinvention of the real. It's just kind of a reestablishment of Batman after a lot of crazy things have happened in Batman books over the last few years. This is a good like re-jumping on point. And I liked Fraction's take on Batman. And of course, Jimenez's art is just nuts. Unbelievable. But I like what they're doing with Batman. It feels like this creative team is trying, from the logo, from the design of this cover that you see, from even the little Batman under the one, like they're trying to move Batman back into this medium space where Batman's not too dark, not too edgy, not too like Gotham's not too depressing, crime ridden. There's a little bit of Silver Age. There's a little bit of that kind of Burton in the modern stuff, but I dug it. Like, Batman stops to comfort people in this book when he's saving them from an attack. And he's like, they're like, you're leaving us here. And like the Burton era Batman and post 1989 Batman would have been like, just swooped off and been like, I have more to do and go in the night. This Batman's like, hell no, I'm not leaving you. Car, take care of it. And so we're getting this kind of
such a good.
And there's all these sci-fi drops with the gadgets and like what he's using and like how it works. And so like we're getting back this Silver Age kind of elements worked back into Batman. And I dig that because I think they're syncing this up with obviously with the DCU. And right. I think what Gunn wants to do with Batman, which is
with Superman, right? There's so many Silver Age moments in Superman. It's like, it makes all the sense of the world.
Yeah. So I think this is what we're seeing the beginning of. And I'm not mad at it. I kind of dug it. And we're not out of the Gotham that we've been playing in. Vandal Savage is still in charge. Like all of these elements are still in place that have gone on over the last few years. But I'm liking the take on this Batman because I like, as somebody was writing about, we have an article about, Batman the Animated Series premiering 30 odd years ago.
Man, it's nuts.
And what we wrote about is, and I never thought about until I read this person's excellent article, was like, yeah, that series really did establish Batman as a core, more complex character, meaning they showed Bruce Wayne having deeper, more serious moments, like as Bruce Wayne. Their entire episodes about that, his psyche, like all that. But they also showed Batman being more complex and compassionate, not just towards like citizens, but towards his enemies. Like it's a lot of Batman's things, those two-parters, Clayface, Two-Face, all that. There's tragedy involved in this, and Batman like feels for them. So I like that take on Batman more because Batman is a great complex character. But that's me.
I'm so glad you nailed that. Like you nailed on that topic because like that was one of the biggest things. You can read my full review if you want to hear me ramble on for a while. You can read my full review on Comic Book. But I will say like the thing that stuck out to me was they make a big thing in this to establish that like Batman has this thing at the beginning where you could kind of, it could fit in other eras where he's like, you know, people don't change. He's got this very kind of hardcore stance on like, people don't change. That's not something that happens. And he's having this conversation with someone who is more, you know, hopeful about that than him. And then what's cool though is that Fraction, while that could have just stood on its own and been like a declaration, it's actually more of like, it's more of a wall that Batman puts up to public, because then you get later in the book and he himself is wrestling with that. And even by the end, he's actually being open about that of like, okay, well, there are extenuating circumstances. Well, sometimes it happens. He's like, he's dealing with his own inner turmoil about that. But you see that brought out of with him and a particular Batman villain in Wayland, that like, and I say Wayland more so than Croc, because that is a big part of this story of, yes, these are also people. Yes, there's people dealing with all these. We see them as one enemy and an iconic rogue from his gallery, but like there's a person under there sometimes, and you wrestle with that and like how Batman sees that, right? And so there's just a lot going on here. I will say, I hope I pronounced their name correctly. Tomu Mori, who is the colorist on this, with Jimenez. Oh my gosh, like Jimenez at this point is become, to me, has entered the space of like elite Batman artists. We have a couple, but like there is a level of like style and dare I say swag that this Batman has. The Batmobile scenes are all incredible. The lettering is phenomenal. Like this Batmobile, every time it pops up on screen, this is the opposite of Arkham Knight. Every time it pops up on screen, you're excited. This is like it's awesome, and there's just so many flares like that throughout this book. Gotham City feels alive. It's awesome. I really dug this, and I did see in the comments someone pointing out about Hush 2, and this is a nice thing to go along with that, because that book ain't hidden.
I have a very important question for the panel. Blue and gray or black and gray? Which one do you guys prefer in terms of the costume?
Janelle?
I like color. I love the blue.
I'm with you.
I like blue and gray. I've gone back with the yellow utility belt. I've gone back because that was the Silver Age. I used to have the Batman figure with the actual cloth cape. You're like, yeah.
That's why I dug Hutch when Lee brought it back. When they brought the blue, because it had been a minute since we'd seen the blue and gray then. And then, you know, like this feels modern blue and gray, right? The way the logo is, the cut stuff, it's cool. I dig it. Janelle, what'd you think?
I love this because it feels like there's a lot of heart. Like there's a lot of not heartwarming, but like it kind of pulls at your heartstrings. Like, you know, obviously the kid aspect, you just feel for Wayland. Like it kind of, it's just a totally different way of me like seeing him. I've never thought of him that way. And that's really, really cool. And then obviously like when Batman, I guess, when Bruce is like thinking of, oh my God, his butler.
Alfred.
Thank you, Alfred. Like that also pulls at your heartstrings. Like it's just, it's got a lot of heart, but not like, it's not obtuse. It's not like over the top. It's just like, hey, these are little things that are going to make you think. And it's a little sad, but heartwarming at the same time. It's like a bittersweet thing. This felt like a subtle read over the Superman one. Obviously, Superman that we read was Absolute Superman was bananas, and this was more like understated. And I actually really appreciated reading both of those this week together because they were so different in that way.
Yeah. I didn't mention specifics, but yeah, the way they bring back Alfred in this is very interesting.
Sorry.
Like, I like that we're not undoing that. I like that we're not undoing this, and we're forcing Batman to kind of deal with emotion. This is like this is a subtle little therapy thing. I forgot that I actually did tear up at the end of this episode, at the end of this issue. Like, it's like when Croc gives him back the toy, And if you have children, you
Yeah.
know how children can do this to you. Like,
Yep.
especially when they start speaking, like, and be like, you know, Dad, are you sad? And you're like, no, like, and they'll be like, well, you definitely look sad. And you're like, oh God, like,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh man, what? But he does that thing in Batman. He's like, you know, is your head bad? Are you okay? And Batman's like, no, I'm fine. He's like, you sure about that? And just like leaves him with the trophy. You know, it's just like, man, that is heavy. Like, you know,
Yeah.
and it's
That's
just like, yeah, it is just kind of dealing with the sadness that, like, yeah, Batman is constantly fighting these emotional battles, I guess, like, because he is cynical and he like gets down, and that's a deep thing to kind of start throwing into the character. But it's done, like, I get, like you said, it's good that, like, on the cover we have big gadgets, big Batmobiles, comic book stuff, but like underneath it all, there is a kind of thematic, a psychological theme line kind of running here about, you know, is Batman a healthy person? You know.
And by the way, you brought it up, and I have always been a little hard on DC for not like, I don't even know if it was a change in the middle of it or whatever, but not committing to, you know, when Batman died, keeping him off the board for longer, right? Because I love Dick Grayson as Batman. I love that very small era. He called it era, a year. I loved a year, but I was very upset. Like, it wasn't even a year before they started bringing Batman, you know, Batman back in his own story to get to eventually come back. So I've always been a little hard on that. Same with like Marvel and Wolverine, right? Keeping him off the board, not really committing to it for a super long period of time. I got to give DC props. I had to look it up. Alfred died in 2019 in City of Bane. It is now 2025. That is almost 6 years to keep that profound a character off the board and find ways like this to still tap into it without undoing the real emotional toll. And there was also an excellent story that was done. I want to say, is it Batman Unlimited? It was a couple of years ago, but there was an amazing story where they brought back, like, they were able to kind of tap into that and brought back Alfred and brought back like even his parents. But again, it was like a one and done thing. It was a very temporary deal, and he had to deal with all that face to face. But it went back to where it is, and he is still dead, and that has had a profound effect on Damian, on Nightwing. It's hit Batgirl. It's hit everybody because of how central. But I got to give him credit. You got to give kudos. If you're gonna stomp on people, you got to give them praise too. That was like, they've really committed to that, and I've been surprised. I mean, the fact that someone stays dead in comics for over 6 years is impressive these days. That sometimes it don't last a month.
But reading this made me realize why. It's just like, also having a manservant and a butler is, I mean, by Gen Z, that's a crazy concept. Like, yeah.
I don't know that. I mean, like, nannies and
kids
butlers
like,
are still a thing. It's just
work for, like,
it's just money. It's just I mean, yeah. I don't know what those things are like. I don't have that kind of money.
But like having it as like your AI assistant, I like, because Batman is a gadget person, and so like having Alfred there. But it's also, again, it's also commentary on your psychological. Like, my dad's best friend died, and he drove around for a year with his cane still in his car from where he dropped him off the hospital, and we couldn't, like. And it was like, okay, yeah, I'll sit in the back seat. Like, you know, it was, but you had to let him do that. Like, he had to do that for like a year. And it was crazy, but, you know, grief is always crazy. So like Batman having his, you know, dead second pseudo father figure as his AI is cool for us as readers. It's a way to bring Alfred back and have him not just be back, but also be constantly there in a presence and helping Batman do stuff. But it is also emotionally kind of nuts. So anyway, I could talk about this book. There's a lot of layers to it. Like Janelle said, it's a very subtle read. Very well done though. And hey, it got me interested in a main universe character again. Which is feat in and of itself.
Yeah, boy. I also just all in killing it right now. I will say, Janelle brought up, I forgot to put it in here, the Absolute Superman. So was also excellent. Before we move to other stuff, Janelle, what did you think of that book? Like, lead us off.
Like I said, nonstop action, just go, 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 go. Brainiac. Oh man. Like, it's just, there's a lot going on. Like, you can't just like jump into this anymore. You have to like understand what's happening at this point. And there were a couple times that I was like, wait, is this happening, or is this just a vision that we're getting? And they did a great job of showing that, but also making sure that I didn't think that was the reality that we were in.
Right.
Yeah, there's just, I mean, it's hard to like even say, I mean, you'd have to just basically like spell out the entire read, like what it was all about. Basically, he's being tortured and they're trying to break down his brain and putting him in really bad situations. So hopefully he'll like kill people, and then he obviously is resisting, and it's a lot of that, but it's still a lot of action, and it's gorgeous. Yeah. Like, the action is so pretty, right?
This book is insanely. This series is gorgeous. Like, it is wonderful in that regard. But also, yeah, I love that we're bringing in, well, we've seen now two of these in the Absolute Universe, because the Batman one, I don't think anything will achieve that bonkersness that was the breaking down Batman issue. But the Superman one, I love that we still find ways to like bring it back to Krypton. We still find ways to bring in his parents and like the things he learned from them and all that in the mix of all this action. And this Brainiac, we won't see this Brainiac in the DC Studios universe. I don't think so. Anytime soon.
This was Snyder's Brainiac.
This was really, man, it's nuts. And it just gets more wonky from me. But yeah, excellent. Absolute Superman is for me hasn't missed.
But yeah, don't miss. Yeah. Matt, we were getting long in the tooth. Time. Do you want to get your agenda off before we get out of here?
let me wrap things up here with a little dip in the tabletop and a little jump over to Star Wars, actually. So I'm going to talk about Days of Wonder and Asmodee's Star Wars Battle of Hoth. This is a 1v1. You can play 2v2 as well. A 1v1 kind of take on Memoir 44, which is kind of a World War II game. But this is all about this particular battle. One side is the rebellion, the other side is the Empire. You got the AT-ATs, you got the speeders, you got all that stuff. And the way it's set up is like, even if there are bigger experiences that are kind of more customizable, like Star Wars Legion, which have like all kinds of different units you can expand and everything and put it onto the board and battle it out, and you can add terrain and stuff. This one is like, if you took all that and you boiled it down to a more streamlined system that even someone who just loves Star Wars, who loves this particular, moments of these movies and wants to kind of learn it, this is far more approachable to me. I could teach someone who's never played a board game like this or a miniature style game like this. I could teach them in 30 minutes. I feel like they could get the core, like, oh, I got it. And they would be then moving on and figuring out some of the more kind of advanced rules and things. It's all, while those are on the board, everything you do is card based. And so literally the cards, you have like 4 different options. The cards tell you, hey, you can control these units. You can do this. There's specialized ones. There's also leaders like Darth Vader, obviously, Luke Skywalker, that you can mix in that give you even more options. But those are purely optional. And you're essentially moving all your people across the board, trying to eliminate the other side. The rebels have units like artillery units that can't move, but are like heavily powered. Obviously, the AT-ATs are super powerful, but super slow, are a pain in the rear to kill, by the way. Those things are so annoying to kill. But like, they do a really good job of like creating this whole scenario path that you can play all these scenarios. They all feel different and unique. What's even cooler is if you want to go for this, there's a set of missions that are even more advanced, and they're kind of these epic battles. If 2 people have this game, you can actually take the boards and combine them and make one giant board. And then you have like 2 sets of armies, and you can play this kind of massive battle. And there's a bunch of missions in the book that come with it that are catered to this. So again, it accommodates small experience. It's actually not a huge table hog, but it also can get grand if you want, and you can have some Star Wars music playing. But I really dug this, and it's incredibly approachable, even though I sometimes like miniatures things can kind of come across as like, oh, that might be a little intimidating. I don't know how I'm going to do with that. This one is super approachable. I think people who give it a chance, especially if you're a fan of Star Wars, will really dig it. It's a really sound system. So really enjoying that. Also on the Disney side of things, Disney Lorcana's newest set is releasing, and that is Fabled. Fabled is a big deal, not only because it actually brings in a Goofy movie to the universe, also Dumbo, some other characters as well, but like a Goofy movie is kind of the big star here because there's a whole deck that's kind of based around a Goofy movie. Also, this the game is going to bring Toy Story in probably sometime next year, so that's a big one too. And Gargoyles is coming later this year, so there's a lot of really cool. Darkwing Duck's coming next year. There's a lot of really cool characters that are coming into the Disney Lorcana fold. But for Fabled especially, Fabled introduces a bunch of new cards and 2 new starter decks, which I really enjoyed. But then you also have a bunch of reprinted cards from other sets that they kind of made a bunch of changes to rotating cards out, like older products and things like that. So anything that's printed in this set can still be used in competitive, as well as like, you know, if you're playing with your friends and there's no stakes there. So all of the cards in this set can be played in any of those new modes, which is great. And they bring back a lot of great old cards that if you don't have those, you're going to love those for even switching up your starter decks and adding those in are going to be great. And then also they introduced 2 new rarities, which like, if you want the shinies, I got some great cards from this set that will be showing off on the site at some point. But they are gorgeous. And they introduced 2 new rarities that like when you open packs, you get these awesome shinies, and there's like even more now to collect. They are gorgeous. My preferred product on Lorcana in general, but also Fabled especially, is the Illumineers Trove, which is like a series of, each set comes with a box, and they come with a bunch of booster packs, so you get a bunch of new cards in it. But they also come with like shiny dividers, custom dice for you to use as like your health and everything. But then there's also like a dial for you for lore and all that stuff. It comes in this like really gorgeous box. You get new cards, and I think just as a one-off set, like if you're gonna jump in to Fabled, can't go wrong with that. You get everything, and it's awesome. So yeah, definitely check that out. I will have more of this on Comic Book, but definitely wanted to give it a shout out because Disney Lorcana rules. So that is me.
And that'll do it for this episode. Couple community notes. After a brief little battle and war with some spam bots, the comic book forums are back up and running. We had a little snafu with that, but we are back, baby. And so that is forums.comicbook.com. So join us over there. We're making our forums our kind of formal place for us to chat with you guys, for you guys to drop subjects you want to talk about or see us cover on the site, or want to know more about, or just to get at us and, you know, yell. Oh, that too. You're welcome to do that too. But go over to forums.comicbook.com and chat with us, please. We have a lot of things we love to just kind of pitch out there and chat with you guys about in a safer, organized space than crazy ass Twitter. So we also want to say, if some people brought it up that our live stream here wasn't working, but we've been moved. We're back on the main comicbook.com channel. If you are a YouTube fan and haven't kind of traced those breadcrumbs, we are on the main comic book channel now. So go find us over there where you can see live streams and the live show every Friday. And Comic Book Nation's channel is now becoming a kind of like 24/7 live streaming channel for different live streams. Right now we have one running for the best of comic book kind of this week, and different clips, different interviews, caught ups from our secret podcast X crossover episode. Yeah, so that's happening on our live stream channel. But if you want to see this show every Friday and chat with us, be on the main comicbook.com YouTube channel. Oh, of course, you could also be on Twitch or Facebook as well. That's it. Everybody have a good week. Fall is coming. Football is back. EAGLES, Eagles. I was so scared we're going to start this year off the wrong way. To the Cowboys fans, hey, maybe next year will be your year. All right.
Don't do
out
that
of
to
here.
them.
This is Comic Book Nation. Peace.
Peace.
Bye.